what does Stephen Miller's potential appointment as National Security Advisor signal about the direction of U.S. foreign and domestic security policy under Donald Trump?
Well, thank you for having me today. And what we are seeing is Stephen Miller is becoming a more prominent and more important spokesman for Trump. And he is taking a more dominant role in Trump's cabinet. Now, his appointment to Mike Waltz's previous position, that remains to be seen how he can perform in this new position if he is indeed appointed. And as we've seen, as you mentioned, Trump does entrust a small number of his advisors with multiple roles. Sometimes they are overwhelmed and a little over their heads. And also Trump's tendency to rely on a small number of people. We are seeing that has caused him trouble in his new term, most specifically relying on Keith Kellogg with the Ukraine negotiations has wound up leading Trump into a trap. Now, the danger with Stephen Miller as Trump's new envoy or new secretary is that he is a hardliner. He is a very aggressive person. So if he is now going to be taking over negotiations, it remains to be seen. Can he truly represent Trump's viewpoint and carry forth Trump's agenda? Or will Stephen Miller just wind up being bogged down in the same trap that we are seeing Trump bogged down in now? For example,
Yes, please go ahead. Continue.
For example, we're seeing that Trump has set forth all these grand proposals. He was going to stop the Ukraine war within 1 day. Then it became 100 days.
Yes.
He was going to resolve the Gaza Strip. But we're seeing because of the conflicts in his cabinet, because not everyone is loyal to Trump's agenda, many members of his cabinet are actually loyal to the donor class and carrying out a different foreign policy than Trump wants to carry out.
But let me here ask you, Ms. Chapman, it has been reported that Waltz was removed from office on account of his increasingly hawkish stance on Iran, in complete alignment with the Israeli position that pushed for applying the military option. In your view, was this indeed the prime reason behind this major reshuffle? And then what does this signify?
Well, not only Waltz's hardline aggressive stance, but also it appears that he had been working with other parties behind Trump's back. The Signalgate scandal was a very big wake-up call because the journalist that Waltz and his deputy invited into that Signal conversation is someone that's very beholden to the donor class. So this was viewed as a betrayal and as going behind Trump's back in order to get out a message using Jonah Goldberg and using this journalist to get out a message that was contrary to Trump's grand vision of diplomatic negotiations and finally resolving the Iran issue. There is a great deal of pressure with regard to Iran. This is an area where Trump is not in control and he does not realize his trust is misplaced. First of all, it appears that the European Union and Macron especially is very willing to use Iran as a pawn to carry out their vendetta against Russia. They want to use Iran to lure Russia deeper into conflict with NATO. That is their goal. And then we also have the Washington, D.C. insiders who are very pro-Netanyahu's agenda. They want to use the American military as their military arm to carry out Netanyahu's plan to neutralize, disarm, and then take over Iran. And then everything playing out in the Gaza Strip is causing a great deal of trouble for Trump domestically. We are seeing that play out not just in New York, everything happening with the universities and the protests in New York, including this past Sunday, a very big protest because Netanyahu's national security, Ben Gvir, was in Israel at a private event, was in New York at a private event. And at speaking events, this caused a great deal of protests. However, we are now seeing in Congress representatives such as Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is a very big Trump supporter, is now defying Trump on the anti-Semitic hate speech laws.
Yes, Ms. Chapman, if I may ask, because time is running out here, you spoke about Miller as a hard line. And these reports were also said he also is aligned with Trump's policies. Are we speaking about certain policies that he's aligned with the Trump administration or the Trump's direction? And from your point of view, how do you interpret the timing of such shake-up in Trump's national security team?
But with respect to Stephen Miller, he's very loyal to Trump. There's always the danger, much like we saw with several other members, that in spite of their visible loyalty to Trump, they would actually work against Trump and do things such as increase tensions, escalate the war talk. This is something that we saw with several other members of his cabinet. Now, the long term, the timing is very important because we saw yesterday Netanyahu declared he was now going to take over and control Gaza after Trump visit next week. Now, things are very, very delicate right now because there are forces in Trump's cabinet that are pushing to escalate now to escalate military conflict.